Oh, what's going on, people? Let me see. I'm trying to get this set up here. Here we go. There we go. We are on it now. Welcome to Friday Night Live. I'm M. Michael Burt, and it says starting. We are up, ready to go. Everything is running. It's Friday Night Live. It's March 20th. March Madness in the house, and we are in the house. Yo, welcome again to Friday Night Live. As always, I'm L. Michael Burt, and tonight I hope everything feels different because this is week 5. We are in, just at the culmination of this whole process of breaking the illusion causing your purpose to live in life, right? After disruption, after trauma, whatever it is, right? So this is not another week of me giving you, ideas and concepts, okay? This is not me just, giving you another message or, any ideas. Where this is truly about a celebration of who you're becoming or who you're unbecoming. But let me just be clear about celebration, what I mean by that, all right? What I mean by celebration, okay? And I'm not talking about fake excitement. I'm not talking about clapping for ourselves and then going back to sleep and say, you know what, this is really great, this is wonderful. So what? You know what I mean? And this really going back to sleep after you experience some kind of transformation in your life, right? And I definitely don't mean saying, yeah, wow, that was powerful. It's good for you, but it doesn't do anything for me. And then maybe you say, I ain't gonna do anything with it, right? And it's a possibility that's where you are and who you are. But what I'm really truly talking about is celebration, as you see here on the slide, celebration with evidence. And I'm gonna get into what that is in a moment. Listen, we went through 30 days, 30 days as of the 18th through what we call a Stanley challenge. And we turned that Stanley challenge into a transformational, personal transformation challenge for us here on the ThriveWell journey, breaking through the illusion. And, there's many illusions that are there, but we want to break through the illusion that we live, that we as human beings are living, we're subject to, all the stuff that's happening in the world, that we're subject to, all the old stories that we've been living that are not really who we are. It's 30 days of truly looking at your life and telling the truth of who you are, where you're not, where you want to go. It's 30 days of separating facts from the story. We were dealing with healing and saying, healing is not a straight line. So we did 30 days of, healing. We talked about authorship, right? 30 days of really authoring your life and not and saying, I don't need your permission to become who I'm becoming, right? And we then started to live in possibility. And then we started to declare things for our life. And then we took that possibility, that declaration of who we said we are, and start putting it into action. And it ain't a small feat, yo. It's not a small feat. And if you stayed with this journey in any real way, then something inside of your life shifted. Sometimes, they say like, um, it has to be big or it has to be grand or it has to be flashy. Uh, Transformation doesn't work that way, right? It doesn't happen all at once. Or, not even when people, can even say that they can see it inside of you, right? So transformation happens, it compounds moment by moment. And you really want to just kind of take stock at what has shifted in your life, all right? So let's look at that and we're going to go through that next slide, all right? So something inside of you shifted, right? And tonight is about seeing that clearly for yourself, for myself as well, because I went through this whole process with you. Even though I was teaching it, I was going through it with you, okay? But if you cannot see what changed, you will discount your own growth, and you don't want to do that. And when people discount their own growth, they start acting like nothing happened. I talked about that today with my producer Yvonne. Like sometimes we don't acknowledge the shift that happened or the change that happened because it's our life, and sometimes we don't notice it. And tonight we're going to talk about that, right? And tonight we're going to acknowledge and create what's next after, the shift that we've gone through. Because listen, something did shift, something happened, a transformation occurred. And I know it occurred for me. And so if it occurred for me and I'm teaching it, I know if you've been, walking with us in any kind of way, that it has shifted for you as well. So tonight we're going to ask one simple question, right? What changed when you started living the transformation, the shift, the movement that you had in your life? And, like we have here, not when you heard about it, not when you liked it or disagreed or agreed with it, but when you actually truly lived it, which is the question, right? That is the question. All right. And so what we're going to do is we're back at it again, right? We're going to be going through the exercises of putting this into play in our lives. So once again, would you take out your phone, notes, screenshot, do whatever you got to do so we can start putting this down and really applying it to our life. And so there are many questions we're going to ask, and we're going to go through some of these things so you can apply them to your life and look at the shift that clearly happened in your life or didn't happen. And if that is the case, then you have a chance tonight to really look at that. And we have tons of clips on the ThriveWell journey on Instagram. You can always go through those clips. They're there from day 1 to day 30, and they can guide you. And then you can come back to Friday Night Lives. We have these posted on YouTube, on the RSS platform for our podcast. So you have different ways of really going through this, even if you're just now joining right now. So go ahead and take your phone out, screenshot, piece of paper, however you want to do it. Okay. And we're going to go through what the last 30 days was. So right here on the presentation, my evidence from the last 30 days. What is it? And we're not talking about the intentions, right? We're not talking about your intentions or your goals or what you meant to do and not actually did, but the true evidence that showed up in your life. And I'll talk about mine in a moment. And here is the question I really truly want you to sit with tonight, which is here. What is different now? Because what is different now because you actually practiced this work over the last 30 days? What has transformed in your life? Right? What is different? What has transformed? Really take account of that and see what it is for you. So, what you do see, or what do you see now that you didn't see before the 30 days that you wanted to have show up in your life? Something that you really wanted, something that was important to you, that you wanted to have shift in your life. What did you do that you would not have done 30 days ago that you now are doing? Or what no longer through the 30-day shift doesn't have the same grip on you? Or what part of you has gotten stronger, more clear, more honest about who you are? So looking on the inside, what shifted on the inside? So we have to start looking on the inside first before we see the evidence of the outside. So what happens on the inside internally, it starts there, and then your world starts to shift with your internal being. That's alignment, right? That's alignment. Either good or bad, it's alignment, right? And what you have to do is name it, because if you cannot name what has transformed or changed, you'll start acting like nothing changed. And that is when, or how people really truly talk themselves out of their own growth. And we don't want to do that. We want to talk ourselves into our own growth. Okay. And here we go. Once again, hold on. We want to talk ourselves in our own growth. Give me a moment here. And then here we go, doing the thing again. Sorry, give me a moment. As I'm doing this, there we go. All right. I gotta get a new system, y'all. Gotta get a new system. All right. Is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. All right, here we go. Yes. Now, that's it. So what we're going to do is really make this true. Okay, let's look at this right now, and I want you to write this this down for yourself. Take a picture, however you want to do it. What do you see more clearly now? One thing I see more clearly now is, you just want to make it real for yourself. Okay, so write that down. One thing I see more clearly now is, okay, and we have most everything. What I'm going to say is right here, which is maybe you see more clearly we have been living in the story. We always talk about fact versus story, instead of living the facts of what that story that meant to you, or what you made that moment mean to you. Right? We talked about permission. You know, maybe you are now no longer waiting for permission for people to say, this is who you become, but you're really taking ownership or power over your life. Okay. Or maybe you see more clearly that, one hard day does not define your whole life. I mean, many a times in my old habits, one of the things I always did was, when I went through hard days, I was like, my gosh, I like, this is not supposed to be like, I thought that life was supposed to be easy. Like things that I thought and I wanted out of life should come to me automatically, because maybe at a point in my life that was my reality, but that's not always the reality. Okay. Or, we talked about, connecting with who you are, and really keeping your energy high. So maybe more, you see more clearly that the people you've been around or the things you've been doing, they've been draining your energy. You don't want that, right? Or we're talking about who you're becoming. So maybe you see more clearly what your next season is asking of you. And actually, I can see that for myself right now. So whatever it is, I want you to write this down, take a picture, however you want to do it, because you want clarity around that. And clarity by itself, right there, is evidence as well. And if you can see something now that you could not see before, that is what truly matters as well. Okay, so you want to do that for yourself. All right, so moving on to the next thing. Make sure this thing works. There we go. Thank you for cooperating, my friend. All right, the next thing is, one thing that I actually did in the last 30 days that matter is, all right. And I can hear it's not what you planned, what you had in your mind, but what you truly actually did. Maybe you had the hard conversation that you didn't want to have. All right, we talked about that. We talked about setting your boundaries, like I take on Sunday nights, or certain days on Sundays, like it's mine. I can't give it away to nobody. That is not gonna happen, right? Or maybe you finally told the truth about something in your life that you wanted to connect with or disconnect with, or whatever it is. Maybe you did that. And then we talked about energy, and things that drain you, and maybe you stop, you know allowing that, or whatever it was, to stop draining you, whatever it is for you. And there's many things that you probably did that that now matters to you, that you shifted. Some old habit that you said, no, no longer, I'm not doing that, I'm not keeping it in my life. I'm becoming this new identity that I'm creating for myself, to align with the future that I see for myself. That's what you did, right? And that will be a powerful stance for you to take, okay? And what it is that it's action. You're taking action into your life, making the action right there by itself is evidence as well, okay? And what it is that, a lot of people, in this process, people really wait for, they want something dramatic to happen, or a big old breakthrough, before they truly allow themselves to believe that they are transforming. And let me tell you something, that is not how it works. Transformation is a compounding moment, one after another, right? And sometimes the evidence is just a conversation. Sometimes the evidence is a decision or choice that you made, or an honest moment that you look back on and be like, oh man, that was a true moment when I was really authentically myself. Whatever it is, like today, or this all week, I've been, really setting up my businesses and really creating structure around them. And I'm like, man, I feel great. So I'm doing a lot of follow through this week, and, one of the things we have here is, maybe just one day you didn't abandon yourself, and you're really compounding your actions, and you're doing it consistently. And I tell you, sometimes it's really hard to connect with that. But what you will see after, maybe a low energy moment, that you look back and you're like, man, I did that. I did that for myself. I showed up for myself. And that is a powerful stance you want to take when you're in the space of transformation for yourself here. All right, we're on to the next one here, which is we talked about agreements as well. I think this is last week. We talked about agreements. So the question is, what no longer runs you the same way? All right. One old agreement that does not run me the same way anymore is whatever that is, you know. Um, and I want to let you know that those agreements and it's an important distinction, all right. And in those agreements, sometimes they don't disappear completely right away, right? But what it does do, it doesn't run you anymore. The old agreements, the old identity, the old way of being, those old habits, they will show up. They might not disappear completely, but over time, when they show up, you don't give those things authority anymore, right? They knock on your door and they're like, nah, you can't come in, you maybe they speak to you, but it doesn't sound like the full truth anymore. Or for example, you maybe the story was, I am not good enough, right? You lived in that story for so long that it was the truth for you, not the truth, but the truth for you. But going through the transformation, aligning yourself with the future that you're becoming, the purpose that you're living out in the life, in the world, and aligning with your purpose, you're like, you know what? I can hear you. It shows up, but you know what? Nah, yeah, I don't believe you. Thank you for showing up. Goodbye, right? Or maybe like I said, it knocked on your door, but you're like, you know what? Keep knocking, but you ain't coming in, right? So that is a shift in your life. Just that small thing. Again, it's not dramatic, but it's a belief that you start living in that then shifts who you're becoming. So then you start aligning with the future that you're creating for yourself, that new identity that you're believing yourself to be. Maybe the old agreement that you had was, I'm going to wait till I feel ready. I did that a lot. I don't feel ready, so I ain't gonna move until I feel ready. Sometimes you ain't ever gonna feel ready, right? And then sometimes you people are like, I need everybody to understand me before I move or before I act, you know. And you want to continue to start living the identity, the future identity that you see for yourself, and continue to move forward. So, which agreement does not run you the same way anymore? And I want you to look at that. I want you to write that down, because when an old agreement truly starts losing power, your new identity or new self starts becoming available, right? You want to really connect with that day in and day out, moment to moment, because we do, as human beings, we shift. Some days I was talking, to my producer, like, 3 days in, like, I'm powerful, right? Like, you can get this done, get this done. And on day 4, you're like, I don't feel it. I don't feel it. But that's when you got to show up for yourself. That's when the authorship shows up. And you're like, you know what? This is my page, this to my book that I'm writing, and I'm going to step into it powerfully, because the new identity that I'm becoming, the new future that I'm creating for myself, that's who I'm connecting to and what I'm connecting to. All right. And so I'm going to continue to do that for your life. All right. And now we move it on to, what do you trust more now? Right? One part of myself or yourself I trust more now is whatever that is, right? And this matters because this whole journey is not about just changing behavior. It is truly about rebuilding trust with yourself. And I tell you, in my life, every time I show up for myself, and at the end of the day, I'm like, man, I did that. I did that for myself. I did that for the people that I'm connected with and are connected with me. And if I continue to show up for myself powerfully, by the time every day, by the time I go to bed at night, I can feel great about what I've done in that day. And I know that my power inside is growing. And I start to love myself more. I start to trust myself more. And you start to really look at yourself because that's a voice inside and that will start to amplify on the outside. So, trust yourself more to, we talked about healing, recovering, you know, trust yourself to act without have to waiting for everybody else. You could trust yourself without making things dramatic, right? Because again, those transformations are small internal shifts that you continue to create moment for moment. Just trust yourself for doing, the follow throughs and not disappearing when moments get hard in life. What part of yourself do you trust more now? Just really acknowledge whatever that is and just say it. Say what it is for yourself. Maybe it's like we have here on the presentation here. Maybe it's your voice. Maybe it's your discernment or your ability to recover from trauma or disruption or whatever happened. Maybe it's your ability to say no when there's somebody in your ear and they want you to say yes. Or maybe it's your willingness to act instead of or in spite of. And maybe it's your commitment to what you committed to and to yourself. Because again, all the trust moments, like that's evidence as well. Okay. So I want you to just continue to look at that and say, I trust myself. All right. and I want you to continue to write this here. So we're going to go through these different stances here. And I want you to look at these and really apply them to yourself. Okay. So number one, over these last 30 days, again, just really truly apply these to your life and build from what transformed the transformation that you went through in these last 30 days. So what challenged me most over the last 30 days? All right. What was it? Or look at what got in your way or what kept showing up or what pulled on you or, what tried to take you back into the old ways of being, what transformed in you in the last 30 days. Okay. Next one, write this down. What this challenge taught me is, maybe it taught you more structure. I know for me, it taught me more structure, put more structure in place for me. So when we talked about, putting those blocks in your life, blocks of times in your life, so you can fulfill on whatever it is that you want to fulfill on, that you want to create in your life. One of the things that I've been dealing with for years was just writing a book. And so the thing that I did now was like, you know what? I'm going to 9 o'clock on like 3 or 4 days out of the week. I'm going to put that structure in my life and start writing my book. Now, what I will say is not every hour I'll sit down and I'm like, yeah, I got this. Sometimes it's like, I ain't got nothing, but at least I sat there for the hour and did something for the hour because that's where the hour belonged to writing that book. Okay. So, maybe the challenge taught you that your energy matters and you don't want to waste it on anybody. One of the things that I just heard is we need to treat our energy like it's the most precious and most expensive thing that we have. Our energy and our time. We just can't give it to everybody or everything, right? So look at that. Look at what you're spending your energy on and make sure that it matters to the forward movement of who you're becoming, okay? Or maybe this challenge taught you that you know what to do, but you keep negotiating yourself out of, doing that thing. Do the thing and stop negotiating yourself out of who you're becoming, okay? Or maybe it taught you some things in your life need to change if the next version of who you are becoming is who you want to become. So live that right, live that out in life, live it out loud, okay? LOL, live out loud, okay? And write what it taught you, all right? Or number three, the evidence that I am not the same person I was 30 days ago is. Evidence comes in all kind of ways, like we talked about. Maybe it's that you're more honest with yourself, more authentic with yourself. maybe from disruption or trauma or whatever may be. You recover faster, or you say, look, one hard moment is not going to take over my whole day or my whole week. I can shift who I'm becoming at any moment, any time, right? And maybe that you're more clear about who you are, what you want, and who you become in your life. And we talked about permission. Maybe you're no longer waiting for permission for people to say, oh, you could become this. Oh no, it's up to you. You have the authorship over your life. You're taking action, and you want to make room for what truly matters. All right. So number 4, one practice that I am taking with me in the next 7 days. So whatever it is, write that down. Whatever that is, the practice that you're taking with me over the next 7 days. Okay. I want you to know that, look, movement is movement. Don't talk yourself out of your shift. Don't be dramatic about it, because sometimes it is the simple things that really matter. Okay. Like I said, movement is movement, growth is growth. And I truly want you to honor that. All right. So honor that over the next 7 days, this next week. Don't try to do a 90-day thing right now. Just make it small. Just be more authentic with yourself the next 7 days. Whatever it is, make promise to yourself daily, every day, and honor that promise. Protect yourself, protect your energy, protect your spirit, protect your soul. You want to do that all of the time. And you also want to protect your time. All right. And I want you to write that down. All right. And then the next thing, number 5, is in the next 7 days, I will keep proving this version of me by doing what? All right. Whatever is, write it down, make it real for yourself, and honor your growth, honor your transformation, honor who you're becoming, and honor that future identity that you are aligning with in your life. Okay. So before I close, let me just say this. I'm proud of you for staying with this whole journey for the 30 days, 30 plus days. And, I'm proud of you for staying with yourself. And a lot of people, they'll leave themselves, when the moment gets uncomfortable, when it gets hard. And if you stay with us these 30 plus days, you didn't. You stay with it. You stay with the questions. You stay with the hard moments. You stay with the checking yourself out and seeing, what's working, what's not working with yourself. You stay with the truth of who you're becoming, and you stay with your becoming or unbecoming. So honor that, and you want to protect that. And you have evidence now over these days, and I don't want you to reduce what's changed, what transformed in your life, to a moment. I want you to build from this and continue to build, like, in your becoming. And I say it again: do not reduce what has transformed you, what has transformed in you, to a moment. And look at everything that you wrote tonight. Look at the evidence. Look at the challenge that you went through. Look at the lessons that we went through, and look at what's next for you. All right. Look at who you're becoming, and allow it to be something that you can build on. Okay. And I want to thank you for walking, through these 30 days. It's a powerful thing. And look, if you stay with this and you've been consistent, you did something. And I want to thank you for, staying in the work, and you experienced 30 days of this work and some of the things that shifted. And that's really, truly just a taste of what's possible. 30-second, 2-minute clips, there's just a taste of what's available for you. And if you are truly, really looking at, your life in a different way, and you want to connect or get realigned with who you're becoming and live in that purpose, and stop living in the story of the disruption and the trauma, and break through the illusion that, is not real, and you want to truly become your full authentic self, I do have I have a thing where you can get on a discovery call with me. It's a 45-minute call. We do a enrollment conversation of, who it is that you see yourself becoming, and I have a coaching program that will allow you to connect with that person. And it's a 12-week program, and I want you to, really connect and get aligned and get that reset for yourself. So here's the link. You can book a discovery call here. It will be in the description where you can actually do that for yourself. And I look forward to seeing you and talking with you and just, seeing who you are and who you are becoming. All right. Again, thank you for the 30-day journey. I appreciate it. Stay tuned for the next set. We're working on it right now, so I'm not sure what we're going to do, but stay connected, and I will see you next time. Take care. Much love.